so funny. Custom overlay. Oh, wrong moment. Switch account over to my civil account. All right. Everything should be working. My civil account. Alright, let's just move a little bit closer to my mic. Alright, gotta like it, you know. Had to do it. Is that gonna stop me from streaming? No. Okay. Let's just set a description for it. Alright. No, it is not. Alright. It's perfect. See the analytics thus far. Data still processing. Okay. So let me just post this link here. Scroll down. Where's that notification coming from? All right, that doesn't matter. Let's open up the stream real quick. Just to make sure everything's working. Yep, seems that everything is working. All right. Huh, that's weird. Should probably tell him that I'm streaming just for the love of it. And I don't develop for these people, but oh, that's weird. Alright. So yesterday I started the base of the plugin that I'm going to be making today. Hey Tal. So we were working on Auction House yesterday. Nucket did update to the new protocol and added some other things, but we're not going to be working on that today. We're going to be working on a new World Edit port called SWE, or Civil's World Edit. So yeah. So I already have a few things, so here, let me explain this. Let me open up Notepad. I can't type today. So we have a shape interface, and this contains these functions, but the main one that is important is params needed. Actually, I should just turn this into a string. But what this is going to be is, here, so let me An example of this would be this. So if I need a string and we want to have it like name, so if we need a name value for a shape, then the params needed, we would have string name, and then let's say we want an integer value for the height of it, so int height, and then we want one for the int width, and then we want one for the int depth. So we could also do some non-essential values like a boolean, and this is the non-essential operator, which just means it's not needed, it's non-essential. It's pretty self-explanatory, but like we could do boolean fill, which means that if that's false, then we would only do the outline of it. So yeah, and then from there we have the parameter class. So when somebody executes the command, we're going to be making a command handler. When we're live, it will determine the type and define the type. So here's the 6 types that we have currently, and it'll determine the type using a few lexemes like commas and periods and just what exactly all the stuff is, and then just a get type method that just returns this value, and then toString, it just returns the value. I'm not storing that actually. I should be. Alright, and then this get value, which essentially what this does is it'll split up the alias of the string or the alias of the shape. So in this case, if you look right here, it would be a string array that contains string and then name, then int, then height, then int, then width. If you think about it, each of these has a value or a array length of 2. So we would just need to make an array that increments by 2, since we only have 5 values. So this will only go up to 10, and we can return the value of it using some stuff. It's kind of confusing, but it works. So I'm gonna comment these methods out real quick. Alright, and then the toString method we don't really need to comment out. Returns the type of param it is, and then let's just do string, integer, boolean, double, boolean, double, list. Now, I'm typing actually kind of fast today. And then determine type determines the type of param it is using some key giveaways. I would say giveaways. I don't know what I would call it. Using some key characters and traits of the string. And then param. Alright, so that's the param class. This I was just testing everything out, but let's try something out real quick. I want to make a new shape, and I want to call this a cube. And what this is going to do is implements shape, then return cube. My aliases, string aliases is equal to, so I guess it would be cube, wait, no, we don't need that, rect and box, and then the params needed, oh wait, and then the params needed, if you think about it, to build a box we need, or a cube, we are going to need a integer for the depth, an integer for the height, and then an integer for the width. And then yeah, that's it. Okay. Oh, we're also going to need one more thing here. Let's make a string called middle point. And what this is going to do, actually no, should I do that? No. So I can't really mess with this just yet, but what that's going to be is we're not going to be, when using the execute method, we're not going to return void. I'm going to have to change that, so here, let me make a to-do right here. Type for each location value selected by the shape, and then a to-do to make a parameter for the execute method at the origin of the shape. So we always need a starting spot. So what I'm going to be using the origin of the shape is, I don't know what I'm going to make the value. I might just make a vector 3. Yeah, I think that's the best thing to do. Yeah, I'm going to make a vector 3i and vector 3i. Int x, int y, int z. Oh wait, I can actually just, yeah, I can private, oh wait, no, public int x, y, z, and then here I can just alt insert, and then constructor then getters and setters, and then a public string to string method, and this will be for better parsing. So return x plus I can also do it this way. String or vector string. Let me just make a try and then a catch method. Return new vector 3 I at 0, 0, 0. I don't think that's actually a good idea. I can just print out the exception. But if vector string dot contains comma string, jeez, I can't type. Vector string dot split, and what this is going to do is give me, if say this was we use this toString method, this is going to turn, let's say we have one at 0, 0, 0, that'll turn that to an array of 0, 0, 0. And then from here I can use my integer utilities. So if split.length is equal to 3, then I can just do one more if method, is if integer utilities dot is integer of split of 0, and then int one, and then integer utilities dot is integer of split of 2. If they are, then we can assume that this is going to work, which means this dot x is equal to integer utilities dot to integer of split 0. And then this dot x is equal to integer utilities dot to integer of split 1. This, oh wait, no, this dot y. And then one final value of this dot z is equal to integer dot to integer of split 2, which, if you think about it, works perfectly. I didn't even see that. Okay. So we have these three functions. Boolean bypass check. So if we can do this if we're batching string to vector 3s and a large scale using code, we can bypass the Boolean. Yeah, we can bypass all of this code and just use this. So if bypass check is false, we can then just set it to this. But we're gonna have to make split a thing. So string split is equal to vector string dot split. So that's a little bit of optimization. Alright, so we have our vector 3 class done, essentially. So from here, we're just going to have to, okay, so from here we can either pass a vector 3i, or we can pass in I'm making my own vector 3i class because the vector 3i class that Nucket has is private. It doesn't let you use it. Tau, shards shouldn't have any commands. Shards, you shouldn't be able to do like /pay shards or anything. You should actually have to manually deliver the shards to people. Sorry, here. Okay. So we have our vector 3i finished. So with the shape, should we pass a vector 3i? Or should we pass it as a string? I think it's smarter that we passed it as a vector 3i. So our cube method now needs a vector 3i origin. So our parameters needed, we need an int x, an int y, and an int z, and then a boolean that is an essential called fill. So let's see if I can get a parameter called I wonder if I can. Let's see if I can get a parameter called y. So what I would have to do is so int y or int x is equal to a int x would be equal to integer utilities dot to integer of params param dot get value of x, the alias. So this dot params needed and string. Wait. I need to open up the params. Okay, it's the params now. So that it's then called params. So parses the value of integer x passed in my params using the execute function for cube. And then let's just print this out to see if this works properly, because I haven't actually tested out the params method. So if I do string length, new param, so string cube params is equal to x, or wait, no. So it would be 10, 15, 8. So cube params, and then I would make a new param list called params, and this would be equal to new params list of cube params dot length. So now I would do a method that would cube params dot for each. Oh wow, I didn't know I could do that. And then params of I is equal to new param of cube params of I. So then I would do cube dot, so cube equal to new cube, and then cube dot execute with params, and then my origin, so new vector 3i of 1, 1, 1, just for the heck of it. And then let's see if this will run. Hopefully it will. That worked. Alright, so first try it worked. That's kind of crazy. So now I can do let's just say I should probably make a new utilities class called param utilities. Param utilities, where I'm gonna need somebody to, yeah, this is actually a really good idea. So new param utilities. So I'm gonna just need a list of params, where I can then save this locally. Let's check chat real quick. Save this locally. Alright, it's working fine. So if I have a params list, params equal to params. I should be able to do public int get int, and then I can just do string alias string name. Where I then can just do the params list, so param dot get value. Oh wait, string is equal to param dot get value of name, alias, and then params. If integer utilities dot is integer of string, then return integer utilities dot to integer of string. Elsewhere return -1. Alright. And then I could just keep making these methods, so public string get string alias string name, where just copy this. Wait, no, I could just return param dot get value of name, alias, params. All right, so bam. Now inside of my cube class, I can actually just do param utilities par is equal to new param utilities of params, and then int x is equal to par dot getInt called x. Oh wait, no. This dot params needed an x. Int y par dot getInt this dot params needed and y. Int z is equal to par dot getInt this dot params needed, and then z. And then from here I can print out all of these values now. System dot out dot print line y z. Now if I run this, I can now get values passed in through this by names. Alright, so now that that is finished, I should make a param field that checks if a parameter is required. now that I have this, I essentially have the base of my command handler done. Except I need to work on the non-required parameter piece of things, which is mildly difficult. Also, my execute method should return values. Actually, I feel like it should return a selection queue. No, if I do a selection, yeah, no, it shouldn't be a selection. Or wait. Huh, maybe it should be a selection. Because then I can do selection.fill, selection.remove, selection.replace. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm gonna make it return a selection and selections. So, I'm gonna make a new package. New package. And this is going to be called objects and selection. So a shape should now return a selection. All right. So that to-do is over with. So I now need to add a to-do. Fill out the fill out the methods for this. Wait for fill pattern, delete, replace, and probably just select. So now that I have this, I should probably add another class. I'm going to call this pattern. So what a pattern is going to be is, here, I'll just kind of comment it out here. Is a palette of blocks that are assigned using rules in here. Patterns are used by selections to fill and replace selections. Patterns should be loaded. Wait, should be able to be loaded from files created from images / noise and created using a list param. So let's add another to-do, and let's call this create a simple, oh wait, no, create constructor and methods to easily use patterns and other methods. To do, find an async way to place blocks and easily use them, or and efficiently send that data to the player without strain. Alright, so that's fairly straightforward. So I have selections and patterns that I need to do. So here, let me add that to my to-do list. So, oh, no, let's not. It's called SWE. So let's close everything down. My params are currently done. So let's add another thing. Not temp. Non-mandatory params. So the command handler, it's also a current thing I'm working on. So current, and that's 25% done. And then shape actions, this is high priority now. So let's save this. He's kind of stupid, but we have successfully started everything that we needed for this. So I can close down my browser. Yeah, this works like a charm now. The next thing that I would probably like to do is make a parameter field that checks if certain things are needed or not, because it's going to cause issues in the code. Yeah, that's going to cause a lot of issues in the code. Okay, so I'm gonna have to think about this logically. So let's open up paint.net real quick. Can also close that down. And let's draw out a blueprint for this. All right. So okay, we have the issue that I'm running into right now is with our current alias, what we're doing is getting this list. So let's say the alias is string name, string, or no, int x, int y, boolean, which isn't a required boolean, fill. So this is what we have. What this is broken up into, our code sees this as an index of 4, because if you look at it, there's 4 different params in this. But the issue with this is, now that I have my alias done, let's say I pass in, so passed in information it shows, okay, there is 5, or there's 3 values, so that's this, this, and this. But I can also add this, and this isn't an issue. But it starts to become an issue when we run into things like this as our alias. That's not going to let me edit it, is it? No. Well, anyways, it starts to become an issue when we have an alias like this. So let's type issue alias. And then we pass in the information of this. Because what this is detecting is, oh, so let's get this. This is mapped to this. Okay, but then 3, that's mapped to this boolean, but 3 isn't a boolean value, because 3 should actually be mapped to this, and then that should be, 4 should be mapped to this, and then boolean true or fill should be mapped to that. So that's the issue that we're running into as of now. Which is why I'm unsure if this is gonna work. I mean, I suppose it's feasible if I suppose it's feasible in a sense when, yeah, this is a perfectly fine system, but once we add the non-required fields, that's when it becomes an issue. Okay. Well, I suppose there's another way that this could be done, but it's a really hacky way of doing it. Well, actually no, we don't need to add temporary variables. So my current system works perfectly fine. The only issue is if I'm checking to see if they worked. Alright, well, I'm stumped. I'll figure this out, and when I do figure it out, then I'll probably live stream it again. If not, I'll just fix it off camera and work more on the selection and pattern side of things in the next stream. So yeah, I don't really know what to say. I don't do outros, you know. Not a pro YouTuber like Mad Lad Chad, Tad, Tal. Jeez. Mad Lad Chad, Tad, Tal. But anyways, if anybody did watch that, thank you.